Chi-square test. Chi-square test is the first inferential statistics we'll, uh, we'll work through. As described in previous videos, chi-square belongs to a group that is called comparing groups, statistic techniques. And chi-square is a powerful analytical approach that examines the difference among categorical variables. So let's have a look at, okay, chi-square. This is the chi-square denoted. Sometimes people use different names for it. Um, so what chi-square could do, there are a few examples of chi-square's analytical kind of applications. So, for example, is there association between gender and smoking habits? This is a research question that could be tested by chi-square test. Are male students more likely to fail statistic module compared to female students? Well, put aside the assumption, it's a scientific assumption between the male and female. It's actually something could be tested with our sample. With a survey questionnaire by test, chi-square test. Are 60 plus age group more likely to fail driving tests compared to the other two age groups? Again, that's a question could be answered by chi-square test. So you've seen this one previously. So basically, we have an independent categorical variable which has two categories, male and female, and our dependent categorical variable is smoker or non-smoker. Chi-square could also solve problems with more than two categories, either as independent or dependent variables. So here you can see that we've got three categories of the independent variable, two categories of the dependent variable, and this could be solved by chi-square as well. So I have the detailed walkthrough of how to run chi-square with SPSS, but what we do now is to work together on this research question. So the research question itself, or the hypothesis one, will be that there is a gender difference in terms of smoking behavior. So the null hypothesis in this case would be there's no such difference, or gender has no influence or impact on smoking behavior. So let's test it together. I use the complete data set, that is the long data set with more than 400 observations. So chi-square the chi-square test is under analyze, and it's actually in the descriptive statistics, but bear in mind that chi-square itself is actually inferential statistics. Okay, so it's just how they categorize the menus, I'm afraid. Go to cross tabs. What cross tabs are? Cross tabs are basically comparing the overlapping samples or cases when you compare two categorical variables. For example, if you compare gender and smoking, non-smoking, then you have certain number of female smokers, certain number of male smokers, and certain number of female non-smokers, certain number of male non-smoker, and that number is the crosstab. Okay, but crosstab itself does not give us a statistically significant indication of whether there is a difference between male and female in terms of smoking habits. So what only inferential statistics could give us such a statistic significance, and that is the chi-square test. So chi-square essentially is built on top of crosstabs, but introduce the inferential elements to crosstabs. So because it's built on top of crosstabs, it's actually when we run chi-square test, it's actually in the menu of crosstabs. But there's a trick here. So we need to tell SPSS instead of running crosstab, run chi-square. Okay, so rows are independent variables. Columns are dependent variable. Uh, it's a shame that they call it rows and columns, while later on in the t-test they call it something else. Instead of just being constant with independent, dependent, but it is how it is. It is how SPSS has been laid out. So our independent variable here is the gender information. So let's see gender, and we just move it to the independent rows box. Our dependent variable here is the smoking behavior, smoker or non-smoker. So we move it to the column. Here it is the dependent variable. So if you just click OK, now you will get a cross tab that is calculating how many cases of female smoker, female non-smoker, how many cases of male smoker, male non-smoker. It does not give us the p-value, which is the statistic significance we're looking for. So in able to get that p-value, we need to tell SPSS that we need to run chi-square. Where to tell SPSS? Go to Statistics tab, click on it, and check the box of chi-square. It's not by default checked. It's not. Okay, you need to check this box. Click Continue. Now you're ready to perform a chi-square test. Click OK again. Now this is the result. This is the result presentation. So we've actually got 3 tables. So don't worry, I'll walk you through all the 3 tables. We'll look at them all together. So the first one is summarizing how many cases are there and how many missing cases are there. So you can see that in total we've got 436. That is the observations, and we've got 3 missing values. So although we have 439 samples, we've only been able to test 436. That's it. That's the first thing reported. The second one is exactly the cross tab I've been talking about. So you can see that male smoker, we've got 33 of them. Male non-smoker, we've got 151. Female smoker, we've got 52. Female non-smoker, we've got 200. So by just looking at these numbers, you won't be able to tell whether there is a difference in terms of gender's influence on smoking behavior. But the last table here is the chi-square test, and the chi-square test actually tells us whether there is a gender difference in terms of smoking behavior. So where to find that p-value? That p-value is this column that is called asymptotic significance two-sided. Okay, well, it is the p-value basically. And for any other chi-square test, you should look at this number here on the first row, which is called the Pearson chi-square. This number, okay, this is the p-value. But a 2x2, that is 2 category dependent, 2 category independent, is a special case which denoted by this B here, computed only for 2x2. So if it's 2x2, then you read this number instead of this number. You read this continuity correction number. Okay, so I read this number. Now the p-value is actually 0.562. What does this mean? You need to compare this number against the critical value, the alpha you've set up, and that alpha I've mentioned that we can use the commonly used one at 0.05. If this number is larger than that, then hypothesis 1 is rejected. If this number is smaller than 0.05, then hypothesis 1 is accepted. What's hypothesis 1? Hypothesis 1 says there is a gender difference in terms of smoking behavior. And in this case, 0.562 is larger than 0.05. So hypothesis 1 is rejected. Hypothesis 0, null hypothesis of no gender difference in terms of smoking behavior, has been accepted. Okay, so I have exactly the same thing here, as you can see, and I have the interpretation here. So the chi-square, one is the, uh, uh, I think it's degree of freedom, but you don't need to care too much about it, at p at 0.562, so indicating the acceptance of null hypothesis, so rejecting the the hypothesis that there's a gender difference in terms of smoking habits. Okay, so that is what our sample tells us. Gender does not influence whether you are a smoker or non-smoker.